Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing well on your end, and welcome to my new series where I review games that I've recently 100%ed with bite-sized and hopefully witty commentary, with Shady Part of Me being the first installment in the series. To any viewers who are also following my Instagram and TikTok, in which if you are not, you totally should, then you may already be familiar with my variety gaming reviews. However, I've come to the consensus that these posts don't garner the attention they deserve. I put a lot of effort into writing out my reviews, but I don't believe many people are stopping by to read them. Truth be told, if I was doom scrolling through my socials and saw a photo collage consisting of on average 8 photos of just blocks of text, I'd be hard scrolling. This is why from this video onwards, there'll be no more post reviews and are now being replaced with these video commentaries. I hope the change of pace will be welcomed and that you guys enjoy the new change of pace. Whenever I've made these gaming review posts, I like to give out a brief synopsis on the game's story without too many spoilers, more of a nudge in the right direction. However, I'd like to go more in depth with this section and talk more about the story and the tale it tells, so be warned as there are going to be spoilers. Feel free to skip this segment if this bothers you. Within the first few minutes of Shady Part of Me, you're introduced to a young girl who yet has the voice of a grown woman, who has no name, and most characters don't. So I'll be dubbing her 2D, as her nature is that she's afraid of the dark, so therefore traverses within the light as she feels the safest there. The game chucks you straight into 2D's tutorial, in which you discover for yourself quickly that you're playing a 2D platformer. You see why I named her 2D now? And traverse forward understanding when to proceed and when not to. Brambles are not your friend. Unfortunately, you're given many chances thanks to the rewind feature. Mistakes are a thing of the past, and don't worry, there are many checkpoint areas for you to feel safe and sound on your journey. Collectibles are always a pleasure to find, as origami cranes are scattered all throughout the game, and of course your gamer brain wants to collect them all, right? Not too long later, 2D is put aside and we're introduced to our young second protagonist, 3D. She also didn't have a name, bless her, so she also needed a well-fitting name. Her movement and behavior work very similar to 2D's, but in this case, 3D is afraid of the light and prefers to stay hidden within the shadows. You're in the second tutorial of the game and are now playing a 3D platformer, wandering around a beautiful watercolor landscape with the ability to manipulate the world around you, and where the rewind feature is alongside you if you ever need it. And trust me, while playing as both girls, you'll definitely use it at some point. However, do not worry, there is no penalty for using this feature and there is only one achievement that is tied to it, but I'll get into that in a later segment. Checkpoints and collectibles are also within your grasp, and with this dynamic duo, there are 98 to find, so get hunting. Shortly after this secondary tutorial, both girls are reunited as one, and together, you're able to find your exit. But of course, teamwork makes the dream work. Pressing Y, at least for me as I'm an Xbox player, will allow you to switch between 2D and 3D at your command. And X, again Xbox fan over here, allows you to interact with your world such as pulling levers or boxes. You've probably noticed by now that this is a puzzle game as well as a platformer, so I hope you got your thinking caps on. There is a tertiary character at play here, but you never play as them, but rather they speak to you as the players. A guidance vessel only wishes to aid and help you grow, whether you appreciate the hospitality or not. Their introduction isn't something the girls pay much attention to. However, if you had someone in your ear constantly and watching over you, trying to tell you to do better, you'd be sure to tell them a piece of your mind, right? Some portions of the story have the other communicating in white noise and chopped up speech. But once 2D and 3D accept their wisdom into their paths, the other is as clear as glass and feels much more like a guide rather than someone nagging on your shoulder. I won't disclose too much of the story nor the finale of the game, as I don't want to share too many spoilers for anyone who is interested in playing the game. But do know that everything you've learned along the way will come into play towards the end. I've explained the story without spoiling too much. However, I'd like to give out a little interpretation to people who are more interested in the depth of the game's tale. So I guess this counts as a spoiler. Skip if you wish. As you complete these puzzles and play through the story, you'll slowly get an understanding of the story and what it means. And what my understanding and interpretation is of this game is that 2D and 3D are one of the same. They are the same person who have had some kind of mental quote-unquote split and are being represented as two different people. I'm not saying that they are actually two separate people or that one individual has some kind of multiple or split personality disorder, but rather that their minds have split and shifted due to some trauma or stress that isn't present on face value. Have any of you felt that you're not one complete person before, or that a piece of you is missing? This is what I mean with my explanation. The other's role was present to help the two girls accept themselves and their troubles and to help them grow mentally, to show maturity and humility. And the further along the story you go, the more this fact becomes apparent. Whether the quote-unquote real-world character is a child or an adult, I couldn't say. There are so many theories you could make with this game's story, but I'd like to imagine an adult woman, hence the adult protagonist, who's possibly struggling with some kind of childhood trauma, hence the child protagonist. Something in her past troubled her and is struggling to come to terms with her history, and her adult side isn't able to function due to whatever trauma she may have faced. There could be some age regression at play, but I'm not too confident to say for sure. But there was something troubling her when she was young for sure. Whoa, a lengthy talk about the story, wasn't it? And to the people that skipped the story explanation and or thesis, hello again. Now, let's talk about my favourite moments and what I found to be positive parts of Shady Part of Me. I really love the art style that the developers went with this painterly watercolour look, alongside cross-hatching shading to give the world more depth. I really liked how each act and chapter had their own colour scheme to show you that you're still in the same chapter. My favourite colour schemes were in Act 1 Chapter Fantasy, as rich blues and deep reds are my favourite to use when using watercolour paints, and with the addition of the area's aesthetic being childlike. Act 1, Chapter Escape, the eerie, unsettling area of a hospital with such stark colours, making you feel constantly on edge, but I mean, no one likes being at a hospital, right? Act 3, Chapter Memories is a favourite similar to fantasy, but instead there's carnival themes and the blues and reds have made a beautiful purple landscape. And finally, within Act 4's last chapter, but I shall not mention why, just know that the colours harmonise so well with the scenery. I'm also a player who enjoys puzzle games very much. Even when I get incredibly stumped, I'll never look up answers unless I feel absolutely stuck. I will admit, here and now, that during the second half of the game's story, I did have Nova join me, as she started to gain an interest in my variety gaming session. And therefore, if I did feel a little lost, Nova's supermassive Omega brain was there to save me in peril. Admittedly, her assistance wasn't needed all too much, but I appreciate her love and support always. Most of the puzzles presented to me weren't all too difficult, and once you get a rhythm for how things work and when new challenges are brought up, you get the gist of things and can puzzle your way to victory. I did appreciate the new elements that the game would present, such as the task to move boxes to help one another to get to the other side. 2D being able to manipulate her perspective, and 2D again being able to literally possess a wooden dummy so she can traverse through the 3D world. That got a giggle out of me the first few times. Another positive about this game is the selection screen for picking which level you want to replay. It's so in-depth and I love it. I love the fact that I'm able to pick which of the 5 acts I want to replay, and then within that selection screen which chapter I want to replay, and within that I can pick very decisively where in the level I want to be. I wish more games adapted to this level of level selection, as it makes achievement hunting and collectible finding feel like such a breeze and not like a slugfest. Speaking of collectibles and chapter select, you can see how many collectibles are found and needed in each chapter. But you may be saying to yourself, oh, but it doesn't say where the missing collectible is, so it's going to be tedious to find on your own, right? Wrong! Thanks to the act selection screen, you can see which puzzle piece is missing. So if you want to find a guide that shows you where every origami crane is, then count along the missing puzzle piece slots and you'll be done in no time. A nice touch is that when you found all the collectibles, the puzzle piece lines disappear to show you this beautiful artwork with no interruptions. How neat is that? One more positive that I'll talk about here, and you might call this one a cash out, is the vagueness of the game's story. A lot of people don't like it when a game doesn't have a concrete story that is just told to you traditionally. That you have to dig around and go the extra mile to find out an important piece of evidence. Some days I feel like that too. I just want to play a game without too much thought power required. However, that's why I said some days. Some days I want to feel puzzled and use every piece of my not so smooth brain to figure out what on earth is going on. When I started playing Shady Part of Me, I had the mentality of just completing this game and be over and done with. However, the more I played and when Nova and I were discussing everything that's going on, the more interested I became. I wanted to feel more invested into the story and get a better understanding as to what's going on. I still now feel very confused as to what the game's story is trying to tell me, but that's the beauty of theories and speculations, as well as seeing other people's thoughts and opinions. You get to see new perspectives and find out new things together. If you are someone in general who likes elusive stories or are in that mood, then you understand where I'm coming from here. Not every game's going to be perfect, nothing will be. Everything, every game has their pros and cons. I just want this review to be fair and honest and to see both sides of the story. A personal issue I had was the voice acting that 2D, 3D and the other used. I felt an uncanny presence when the characters were speaking. When researching a smidge about this game, I found out that the female voice actor is Hannah Murray, who is known for the roles as Gilly? I don't know, in Game of Thrones, and Cassie Ainsworth in Skins. The other was voiced by Johnny Glynn, who you may be familiar in works such as the Cursed Captain in Sea of Thieves, and the English voice of Rutherford Alcock in Rise of the Ronin. It seems that Focus Entertainment, Shady Part of Me's publishers, were able to get their hands on some renowned actors to bring the characters to life. But for me, their voice acting just didn't hit the mark. I would only say that if I had the option to change the voice acting to something such as just general murmurs or sound effects, then I would go down that path. I could turn the audio settings for the voice all the way down, but I wanted to experience my playthrough as organically as possible with little to no changes. I also didn't favour the Origami Crane collection distribution, nor did I appreciate the quote-unquote hiding of them either. No, this isn't me saying that I struggled to find them and had barely any when my story playthrough was done. I actually had most of them found and only needed to do a small amount of cleanup duty. It's just that why on earth does one act have almost half of the collectibles in them, with the third chapter having almost 3/4 of them all bundled up together? Why am I finding about 15 of them in the span of under a minute? Surely this isn't normal, right? Every other level has 10 origami cranes or under, sometimes even none to find, and one chapter alone owns 29 of them? I'm not sure if this is due to the level design, as it has one of the largest areas to puzzle your way through. Also, finding them wasn't the most difficult task either. You just have to walk and you'd see them in front of your very eyes. The few I missed was due to the fact that I didn't walk towards the camera, or because I didn't see any below the level. Achievement hunting! We all love achievement hunting, yes? This game offers a small total of 16 achievements that are all collectively worth 1000 gamer score. You guys can translate that into your own gaming platform terms, with most of them being unlocked by playing through the game organically. Of course, there are a handful for finding all the aforementioned collectibles, and a few for doing specific tasks. For example, remember the rewind feature I was referencing earlier and how not using it in a specific area unlocks a rare achievement? Sorry to the people that skipped the story explanation, I referenced this achievement briefly once. Well, all you have to do is solve a specific puzzle without using this tool. And honestly, I wasn't even aware of this achievement until I locked it. I was probably yapping away with Nova about something while giga-braining through the puzzles and it just popped up. I'd like to say that I'm just that smart that I can solve puzzles first try and play through the game easy breezy, but I was so unaware of what I was actually doing that it popping up for me left me so confused. Earning these achievements isn't the hardest task either, fortunately, and considering that it took me roughly 8 hours to find every achievement, as well as finding all the background footage, you guys shouldn't have a struggle whatsoever. Now here's the part where I conclude the game's review and whether or not I would recommend Shady Part of Me. And honestly, yeah, go for it. I do want to mention in this segment that I am an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate member, so I never directly purchased this game. I merely rented it before its departure. That's truly the sole reason why I played this game. It's leaving Game Pass's extensive library on the 31st of January, so I'm sorry this review couldn't come out before then. If I search this game up on the Xbox store, its EU pricing is $11.99, with a current Game Pass discount applied, making the new pricing $9.59. This discount is here due to the soon departure of the game, so it's like a little saving bonus for members who didn't have a chance to play when it was available on the list, or to people who are big fans of the title. I've always said in my gaming reviews on my socials to never spend money that you don't have or isn't within your budget. Of course, this logic can be applied when spending money on anything, but in this case, we're talking gaming. I'm personally someone who wants to spend as little money as possible when it comes to purchasing games, especially when I've seen it dirt cheap in the past. You ever see those memes of that one friend that won't buy anything during massive game sales because it's not within their budget of like £5? Yeah, that's me, and I'm not ashamed, I'm frugal. In my case, I'd prefer to buy this game at a lower price and would say with confidence that if you do ever want to purchase this game, then maybe do it when it's on sale. This is due to the fact that if you translate $11.99 to 8 hours worth of gameplay at the very most, that doesn't seem all too cost efficient. However, you're getting a game that challenges your brain with cognitive thoughts via puzzles and story narratives, with the gaming mechanic of shifting from 2D to 3D perspectives and vice versa. This game is one to enjoy when you're feeling in a puzzling mood, when you want to challenge your intellect while being charmed with a childlike artistic aesthetic. If you've ever played Contrast or the Little Nightmares series in the past, then you'll definitely love Shady Part of Me. This game is basically the love child of the two. I've streamed the Little Nightmares series a little while ago and have played them several times in the past. And I played Contrast many years ago with it also being on my streaming list. Let me know if you guys would like to see me play Contrast, by the way. So this comparison is coming from someone who's familiar with both fields. Overall, Shady Part of Me is a game that I'm glad I got to play before it left the Game Pass library. And this is a game that I can strongly recommend to anyone who's looking for a chill puzzle platformer with a thought-provoking story and achievements that don't feel like pulling out teeth, but rather the feeling of, oh, I found most of them organically through my playthrough. Might as well go for the perfect completion kind of ordeal. Well, that was a very wordy video review. Over 4,000 words waffled into one video. I hope you guys enjoyed my video review on Shady Part of Me, and I wish to keep these gaming reviews as videos over Instagram and TikTok posts, at least for the time being. I get to say everything that I thought and felt without having to restrict my videos to make them fit cohesively into one post. It's going to take me a while to find my quote-unquote style when it comes to making these video reviews, so please do bear with me as I discover said style. I feel like starting out with some background footage of my gameplay is a good start, with the addition of an overlay of my persona representing me speaking up with pop-ups every now and then. I'm not planning to add subtitles, for example, as they would take a lot of work as I add every word into my short form content already. However, if you guys would like to see subtitles and there's enough demand for it, I'd be more than happy to accommodate for your needs. I know it may seem a little odd having my persona represented via my fashion dreamer muse, and I'm sure that there will be a time where I do replace said muse with something like a very well developed drawing of my persona, with different poses and facial expressions, or even some kind of VTuber model. But that's a long way away that won't be coming to fruition anytime soon. I want my muse to wear an outfit that fits the theme of the game I'm reviewing without going full out cosplay. So yes, laugh at me wearing a gothic clown costume. It fits one of the environments that you find in the game, okay? I think I look stylish, and that's all that matters. Speaking of Fashion Dreamer, I didn't know that the online functionality was shutting down soon. I know the game came out only a couple of years ago, but it feels so sad to see this large portion of the game just going away within a couple of months. Fortunately, the offline portion of the game is still sticking about, and they've already migrated online exclusive items and whatnot to offline play. I don't really personally play the game myself anymore, but I do use it from time to time to making memes and photo posts when necessary. And now I have another reason to keep playing it: these gaming review videos. I have reviewed in the past some 3DS titles too, such as the Cooking Mama series. However, I wouldn't be able to capture any footage to make a video review on them. So for the time being, I can only review Xbox or Switch games. One day when I've saved up enough money from my Twitch donations, I've promised to use that money to buy a capture card. Please don't take what I just said as a pity plea or a cry for help demanding money from you guys. That's the last thing I'd ever do. I'm just saying that within my current position, I can only capture in-game clips with Xbox and Switch games, so please do keep that in mind. If there are any games you'd like for me to review, games to stream for your viewing pleasure, or even games just to play in my own time, then please leave your recommendations in the comment section below. Even better, come and join my Discord server, where there's a dedicated channel to all the games I've played, reviewed, streamed, and so on that gets updated regularly along with my wish list of games I'd like to purchase, so voice your opinions over there. Speaking of plugging my Discord, check out my other socials such as Instagram and TikTok, where I post every day consistently. I also stream on Twitch every Wednesday and Saturday at 5 PM GMT, with Overwatch 2 and Naraka Blade Point being my two main games, alongside Cameo, Elements of Power being my current variety game. Please do leave me your thoughts, criticisms, and recommendations down below, and please do the YouTube stuff of liking, commenting, and subscribing to my YouTube to see more of me. Thank you everyone for watching my Shady Part of Me game review. Have a good day, evening, or night, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.